The moon hung low, casting long silver shadows on the narrow streets of Nyeri town as Wambui dragged her tired feet home. The clock on her cracked phone screen blinked 5:12 a.m. She had just finished her third consecutive night shift at the local hospital where she worked as a nurse, exhausted, sore, but grateful for the extra hours. She tightened her coat against the morning chill, longing for the soft mattress in her one-bedroom servant's quarter behind the grand compound she rented from a wealthy couple who lived overseas. The main house remained unoccupied for years, its yard overgrown, its windows dark, the place forgotten by time. But today, something was wrong. As she approached the dusty gate of the compound, Wambui's brow furrowed. The dull silence of her usual arrival was replaced by the muffled beat of music. Traditional Kikuyu wedding drums, the kind reserved for village celebrations, thudded rhythmically from inside. "What on earth?" she whispered to herself. She peeked through a crack in the gate and froze. The compound was no longer a lifeless shell, it had transformed into a wedding ground. Chairs covered in white cloth were perfectly lined up under a large tent. The scent of roasted goat and fresh marigold filled the air. Guests in sparkling dresses and kitenge suits moved about joyfully, laughing and chatting as though nothing was strange. Wambui pushed the gate open slowly. No one noticed her. She walked deeper in, heart pounding with confusion. A huge banner swung above the entrance to the tent, celebrating the union of Muriathi and Wambui. Her name. She staggered back, staring at the banner. What kind of sick joke was this? She had no boyfriend. No fiancé. No plans. Just 14-hour hospital shifts and the dreams of moving to Nairobi. Before she could process it, a woman with a beaming face rushed to her and wrapped her in a tight hug. Wambui. Where have you been? The bride is not supposed to be late on her own wedding day. Bride? She tried to protest, but the woman disappeared into the crowd. More faces turned to her, clapping, smiling, cheering her name. She felt like she was drowning in a nightmare. Then she saw him. The groom. Standing confidently near the altar, in a crisp navy blue agbada, gold embroidery glinting in the light, a man she had never seen before in her life. He looked at her and smiled. Not a warm smile. A knowing one. Almost sinister. Wambui felt the hairs on her arms stand. She turned to leave, but two tall men in black suits blocked the gate behind her. "Where do you think you're going, bride?" one of them asked calmly. Her breath caught. Her world spun. Something far deeper and darker was happening here. And she was trapped in the middle of it. Wambui didn't stop running until her legs gave way near the roadside market. She collapsed behind a fruit stall, gasping for air, her mind racing faster than her heartbeat. Dawn had fully broken now. The normal world continued, vendors setting up stalls, matetas honking, birds chirping. Everything looked unchanged. But something inside her had shifted forever. She knew she couldn't go to the police. What would she even say? "I was forced into a ghostly wedding by people who knew my grandmother. They'd laugh or worse, assume she was mad." Shaking, she pulled out her phone and called the only person she could trust, her Aunt Teresia, a reclusive herbalist who lived on the outskirts of Murange, far from the bustle of Nyeri. Her voice cracked through the receiver. "Auntie, something terrible is happening. I need answers about my family, about a deal made long ago." There was silence for a bit. Then her aunt spoke softly. "I was wondering how long it would take them to come for you." Wambui's stomach turned. "You knew?" "My child, your grandmother made a blood pact when your mother was dying. The kind that skips generations. It's not just marriage, it's binding. To that land. To that spirit." Wambui's voice trembled. "How do I break it?" "There is no breaking," Aunt Teresia replied. "Only transfer or sacrifice." Silence fell again. Wambui understood. She could flee forever, change her name, move to Nairobi, or even leave the country. But the spirit, or whatever ancient force they had awakened, would follow. It wasn't about the people. It was about a promise. A contract sealed with life. Days passed. Wambui didn't return home. Instead, she stayed with Aunt Teresa in the highlands, learning things that could never be spoken aloud. She discovered the full story. Her grandmother had once pleaded with the ancestral spirits to save her daughter's life. The price. The next unmarried female descendant would be wedded to the spirit custodian of the land, a marriage not of romance, but of servitude and guardianship. And Wambui had walked straight into it. But Aunt Teresa had a solution, one that carried its own darkness. A forbidden ritual, one that would free Wambui but require another life to take her place. A friend. A stranger. An innocent. Wambui stood at the edge of the forest altar that night, the choice heavy in her hands. Could she doom someone else to a fate she barely escaped? In the end, she did the unthinkable. She stood in the center of the circle. Alone. And offered herself again, but this time on her own terms. I will not marry a ghost, she whispered, but I will not run either. If a sacrifice must be made, let it be in truth, not deceit. The wind howled. The fire flared. Then silence. And peace. Wambui was never seen again. But the compound in Nairi remained empty forever after. No one dared rent it again. Sometimes, strength isn't in escaping the curse, but in ending it.